Hello everybody, Hellcrex here. Welcome to Thoughts from a Dystopian World, episode 11. Today we're going to be talking about another Federated States of America ship, the Yale, which is the heavy destroyer for the Federated States, FSA. Well, it's an interesting little ship when it came on the fleet drawing board, and then it hit the waters and went through its trials, and then eventually seeing combat. And well, let's just say it's meh. Not one of the great ones in the fleet, not bad. It's just it has a very distinct role in the game. Alright, the Yale comes in at 45 points, which is a little bit more than your typical Guilford destroyer. It is a heavy destroyer. Its crew is defensive, so if you decide to go across and board with it, they only hit on a 5 or 6. They don't like leaving their ship at all. They like to hang back and defend themselves. Now, if you want to defend with them, well, that's even better. They do have a good capability with that. Yeah, typically I think it is they hit on a 3+ when it comes to being defensive, and yeah, that's not bad. If typically if you're getting boarded by somebody, it's most likely going to be frigates coming your direction or corvettes, something that's really fast. It's gotten into the backfield, and this is where these things kind of have a tendency to park themselves, is a little bit farther back. Now, let's see, it's a small naval ship. It has a minimum movement of 2, small turning template, so it is kind of agile. Squadron size is 2 to 3, so you have to spend at least 90 points to take one of these versus, I think it was about the cost of, like I say, a battle cruiser or something of that nature. Or, you're getting up there in that category when it comes to points, or a gunship. I guess a gunship would be 90. It's 120, I think it is, for the battle cruiser. But okay, your choice is take a couple gunships or a bunch of heavy destroyers, and I think you're better off finding something else in the fleet. Well, we'll get to that. The DR is 4 and the CR is 5, so it is kind of resilient like most of the frigates in the game for the FSA. It does have a movement of 9, so it is kind of agile. It does move, gets around pretty quickly, so it can close within range band 3 pretty quickly after the first turn. And then it has 3 hull points, which makes it susceptible to critical hits. So you have frigate or corvette typically has 2 hull points, and you can't do a typical CR. It has to do 2 hull points damage, and the end result is that destroys the ship. So it's a moot point, so they don't even bother saying in the rules that you can cause a critical table hit that way. But with 3 hull points you can, and I've had these ships take hull points, take a critical hit, and then blow up. So it is possible with these things to have that happen to them. So there, think about that. It does have 2 assault points, which isn't a lot. It's pretty standard though, fair when it comes to the smaller ships. When you consider that there's 4 on a Lexington and the heavy destroyer has 2, it just stands to reason. But for a difference of 20 points or 10 points for that matter, yes, 10 more points. I'd rather spend 10 more points and get some Lexingtons over using a Yale. Okay. Now, if I'm playing a real big game and I'm running out of cruisers and have lots of points left over, yeah, these things are going to find themselves in the game. Now, the ACAC is 3, which is the same as you would find on a light cruiser Lexington. So that's pretty respectable. But I kind of think it falls under the fact that, you know, the bombardment gun, this thing's almost like an anti-aircraft platform in a way. Concussion charges are 3, so that's better than a cruiser. So that's not bad. So a squadron of these can protect themselves against air targets and any type of torpedo targets or something of that nature coming their direction better than even a Lexington or a squadron of Lexingtons. So that's some benefits. And some of that might be considered how agile these things are. You know, they're smaller targets. All right. RAM rating is 3, so if you happen to bump into one of these things, you're going to throw 3 dice. So it is possible to have a couple destroyers or a frigate and a destroyer hit each other and take each other out. So that's something to think about. Now, the bombardment cannon or gun, that's its only weapon on this thing, is a P weapon, so it does have problems in the first range band for hitting targets, but it does go out to the third range band with 5 dice. So, you know, with a squad, let's say you got a squadron of 3 of these, you do roll 10 dice at range band 3. So that is pretty good base minimum. Okay, that's the base minimum with 3. So let's just go and look at some of the Mars that go with this weapon before we go talking about the weapon again. It has high angle, so it can engage targets in range band 1. So if you have an aerial target within range band 1, by chance somebody's flying over top of you, you can engage it with bombardment gun. I usually wouldn't. I would find somebody else to do that job and then maybe shoot some ACAC or something. But you can do it, but you're only hitting on 5s and 6s for that matter. But you do have sustained fire with that gun, so you get to re-roll 1 die with that gun, or if you fire them all linked together, you still get only 1. So there you go. But at least you get 1 of them you can re-roll. It also has pack tactics. Now, the pack tactics allow you for every ship past the first one, you get an extra die. So if you have a squadron of 3, you get 2 extra dice. So with 2 extra dice, where I was saying in range band 3 before, you were throwing 10. Now you throw 12 because of pack tactics. So that actually is where it kind of shines, is that using pack tactics, you're able to increase the number of dice you're throwing at somebody and have a good chance of doing some good damage. But this weapon has a really big problem. It has a 4 fixed channel firing arc. So basically you have to line up your ship on your target. So if you say, okay, I'm going to shoot at that cruiser over there, I know that's what I'm going to shoot at. And then when you move, you finish your move and make sure that you're lined up on your target. So all your ships have to be lined up on your target to hit it. Alright, so that is it. So if you're outside that arc, you hopefully have something within your arc. So you got to think about this ship a lot when you're moving it, because if you don't, you're going to have problems. You'll be oh man, I forgot this thing doesn't have a firing arc. It has a fixed channel, so I'll end up missing with it. You have nothing to shoot at. So that's where you have to think ahead before you start moving. So that's one thing you got to do with this ship. Then the last MAR that is in here, it has a small target MAR, model sign rule, which means that any capital ship like cruisers on up, all the way up to dreadnoughts, try to shoot at this thing, they have a -1. So if by chance you're in range band 1, it's only hit on 6s from capital ships. But if they roll 6s, this thing's going to be toast anyway. So, and well, there's a possibility you can. Well, there's been times when you hit. I've done it to other destroyers before and hit them like 3 or 4 crits. Just I unloaded like a big ship on a squadron of these things, and then left a crater in the water because what actually hit the magazine and blew it up and took out the rest of the ships. So there's that possibility. So that is one of the problems with this ship, is that you can rattle up a whole bunch of crits against them and then possibly detonate the magazine. So that can be a problem. It's not a big explosion, but it still can. It's just extra indiscriminate dice you're throwing at a target that could damage other things around it and then cause a chain reaction, which I've done before. There's been one game where I rolled and hit somebody's magazine on a cruiser, and then it exploded, and then, okay, every ship that's within the radius, okay, roll the dice on that one. Oh, I got a crit. Okay. Oh, I had another explosion. So now this explodes, so I got to roll dice against this ship, and this ship around it. And pretty soon, it's just like watching a chain reaction as I watch somebody, third of their fleet just disappear on the first turn due to hitting a magazine. And everybody just kind of looks at each other and goes, well, you want to restart? Yeah. So that has happened in the game. Now, let's go back to the gun. Like I said, in range band 3, your fixed target, fixed arc, you're throwing 12 dice. That's good. So if you can line her up, you're going to do well in doing some good damage. If you get into range band 2, you're throwing 14 dice. That's pretty respectable for 135 points. You can probably do the same thing with the cruisers. So you got a squadron of light cruisers. You're getting pretty close to that. So, and then adding other things out to it. And then you're looking at 16 dice at range band 1. So if by chance you get, say, a flyer that is got in real close to you in range band 1, they're doing attack run or something. It's like some type of attack, say not a helo carrier or some type of carrier, but an actual physical attack ship. You can blow it out of the sky, possibly. So there you go. But that is it. That's pretty much it when it comes to all the weapon systems on board this thing. It's a kind of a one-shot, one-trick pony type of thing. It takes a little more finesse to play with this heavy destroyer than a lot of the other different fleets when it comes to it in the game. So you have to think ahead of where you're going to go with it, what your targets are going to be, and hopefully you don't have somebody causing havoc for you and getting into your face and channeling you into what you can shoot at. So it has to basically kind of stay in the third and second range band to give it the ability, because a lot of times when I'm using this thing, the first turn I typically will move it to 9 inches just to move it up to get it into range, but after that I'm moving it only usually the minimum movement. I look at it and say, okay, that's the target, I'm going to shoot at these cruisers, and then I say I might have to move this one 2, this one 3, and this one 4 to kind of angle them to get them to line up on my target, and then that's all they're going to move. So try to keep them in the third and second range band and keep them out of the first range band, because as soon as these things get into range and somebody really knows what they're doing against these destroyers, they're going to target them and take them out. And it doesn't take much to wipe these things out really quick. So it's better off keeping them farther back and then having more menacing targets out front. They can actually handle some of the pounding that's coming their direction. And that usually, and if you're playing the Federated States, that's your cruisers, and your battleships are going to be taking the brunt of it. And these guys are going to be sneaking around the sides, running in a squadron on the flanks and picking off stuff. That's their job. It's not to get into the front and fore of the. You're not to tip the spear with these guys. This is far back on the haft of the spear itself, towards the rear, where you're holding it, and you don't want them to get much attention to them. They're going to do some damage, but somebody notices them, they might be taking them out, and that's why you want to keep them farther back. And hopefully that small target that you have, MAR, that's on board these things, will keep them from taking a lot of damage. You know, there's been a lot of times where somebody will take a pot shot at them, and you know, because I'm keeping them farther back, and they'll take a damage, 1 or 2, and then it just slowly degrades your number of dice you're tossing at them. But you know, that's just the nature of the game. And if somebody knows what they're doing, they might fixate on these things really quick and just eliminate them, just to eliminate a big chunk of your dice pool, because this is a lot of points wrapped up for what little they can do. Alright, hopefully that explains a little bit when it comes to the Yale, the Heavy Destroyer, and a little bit of the tactics that I use with them. And hopefully this will give you some more insight on how to play and move you on with the next one in the line. Alright, this is Hellcracks, and hope you guys have a great day. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next. Hellcracks out.